Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. As you know, we are calm, we are local, we're getting through this pandemic together, and one thing that's holding me together, and certainly going to hold me together this week, because I'm going to come visit her over at Lexington Market, is those Faidleys crab cakes. It's been a couple weeks. I did have one before 4th of July, because we had Damye on talking about the issues with crab cakes. And if you missed that segment, it is at Baltimore Positive. I will reshare that. I know the one thing nobody's missing is the Facebook video, now up to almost 2.9 million views. Those are the hands and literally the technique of Damye Hahn of the Faidleys family at Lexington Market, soon to be Catonsville. It's always a pleasure to have you back on the program. And I'll be honest with you, it's much more of a pleasure when I'm sitting in your place with Martin O'Malley or Brandon Scott or Ron Shapiro, and certainly with Don Moeller drinking your iced tea and eating your mac and cheese. And I hope we get back to that sometime soon. But the good news is I get off in about an hour. I'm about 90 minutes away from stopping and getting some mac and cheese and crab cakes and visiting with you. And these are tough times, right? I mean, I think for everyone, we've all been through the ringer here the last 6 months, right?
Yeah, it's strange times. I feel like every day I walk in, it's like the Twilight Zone. Something's completely different. But we're hanging in there. We're still shipping all over the country. We're shipping local. We've got a lot of local shipping picking up, which is great. Anybody can order anything from us by phone, and the internet menu is not as large as you can get by phone. We'll ship you anything overnight, Air Express. We have a local delivery. We've got, we use a local next day express service. We also, we're getting ready to launch another same day service. But we also have overnight anywhere in the country, and we're putting in dinner packages. We're putting in steamed crabs. We're putting in fish. We're putting in fresh shucked oysters and shipping them all over the country. So people are able to still enjoy the fresh fruits of the Chesapeake Bay anywhere, at any time, even on their vacations. And so that's going well for us. And we have some limited capacity indoor eating that picked up again last weekend. The mayor announced that we could have 25%. So there are people coming in. And
so I can come over right now. You're 8 blocks from where I live. I can walk over there right now and come in and have a crab cake with you today. I can do that.
Yes, and the carryout's been open the whole time, and we also have some. We put some tables. You can stand outside if you're not comfortable inside.
Okay, I'm losing your cell a little bit wherever you just moved to, because I miss you out. But you're open in the outside there as well. For me and getting your crab cakes, and I always tell people you can go to FaidleysCrabCakes.com and just order them. I think you had a really compelling story for me last month, and I don't, the long version, anybody can go up to Baltimore Positive and check that out. And if they want the best technique on picking a crab, that's available at 3 million views on Facebook as well. But this has been a unique summer in a lot of ways, and the way you source crab and crab meat, and honestly, you and your mom and dad, you've taught me a lot about the difference between a Maryland crab and maybe some places out in the suburbs where they bring these big chunks of crab to you, and that crab's not coming. Maybe not even from this continent, let alone this country, right? Sometime.
Yeah, there's a lot of foreign crab meat on the market, and a lot of foreign crab meat that's been called local crab meat, unfortunately.
And there's no rule on that, right? Like it's like France has champagne and bourbon and whiskey can only be made in certain counties, right? Like anybody can serve a crab cake and call it a Maryland crab cake, and they're not going to jail for that, right? Like, I mean, they just say it's
Correct.
Local or whatever, right? So it's
fudged
along.
It's actually a Maryland style, not necessarily Maryland sourced meat.
Understood.
So it's a style of crab cake. So we have, as I told you before, this year we ran into a real snafu with our processors. 19 processors in Maryland left. In the 90s, we had close to 60. We're down to 19, and 9 of them do the 80% of the work. And out of those 9, we've got 3 operating at about 25%. And that is because we don't have the labor source of the pickers from Mexico or South America. All those visas were halted this year. So we're hoping that this industry makes it through this season and into next season. And it has a trickle-down effect. It has an effect on the number of crabs that are brought out because the crabbers, 60 to 70% of their catch usually goes to the processing houses.
And you explained that to me, like a damaged crab that can't be served in a crab house or looks beautiful on ice on your plate there, right, at $120 a dozen or whatever it would be, that those crabs become crab cakes, literally, right? Or maybe crab imperial.
Right. Those are the ones that are picked and processed. Now, I have seen crab houses this year get a little more creative in order to help the crabbers, and because these crabbers are coming in with a bunch of crabs that don't look real good or might be light or, heavy females or whatever. And some of the the places that sell steamed crabs are selling them at a better deal. Like light crabs are cheaper than the heavy crabs, or, ones without the claws, and having deals on those. You got to pick them yourself because the processing's not open. But they're getting creative with that, and I was really happy to see that. And that's pretty much statewide. That's being done. The steamed crabs are available. What's not available is a lot of Maryland hand-picked meat. So that's what we're having a tough time getting through. And it does have that trickle-down effect of the number of crabbers being able to work because they're not being able to go to processing. But the crabs are beautiful this year. We've got beautiful Maryland females and males. The crabs I got in yesterday are absolutely gorgeous. So this is the time of year to get them here till November. We're hoping that some of these visas will open up in October for this industry, that they'll get a special exclusion. We haven't heard word that that's an absolute go yet, but we're hopeful that something will be done, and we can at least process and pasteurize to get some of the Maryland meat through the winter.
Well, I mean,
but that's where we are with that.
As a summer goes, and as crabs go, and as the world goes here in pricing and where we are, everyone I've talked to, it feels like people are still eating, right? I mean, that's the one thing they're definitely doing, right? Eating at home.
Right. They haven't given that up.
Yeah, I mean, we're still eating 3 or 4 times a day. So the amount of fish coming out of the water and the crabs coming out of the water and people working the water and all of that, what has that meant locally? Beyond the crab meat itself and can't be picked, have there been more crabs because of this on the market then?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Like I said, what's happened is it's not that there are more crabs. Technically, they're out there swimming. The problem is there's not enough crabbers that can make a living at it because the processing isn't open. So we're losing some of that chain, that link in the chain of these crabbers being able to make a living and sustain that through this season. Like I told you before, a lot of them, because the processing wasn't open, got rid of their boats, got rid of their slips, got rid of their
they're just literally not at the crabs are literally in the water. I mean,
they're there, and prices have come down a little bit, but if you go to look at crab prices, they're not cheap. They're certainly not cheap. But things are starting to pick up. Things are, because some restaurants are opening, more of the crabbers are out crabbing, trying to push them through for the rest of the season and for the rest of the summer. So, we're hoping that we can get through all of this.
You know what I miss you the most? Like on Sundays, I go over to the farmer's market, and they sell the little tomatoes that you guys always, the little tomatoes that taste so good that you guys put on. I don't know anybody else that serves crab cakes with tomato, the little tomatoes, and they squeeze in your mouth. And I see them at the farmer's market. And it makes me hungry for you like a Sunday morning at like 7:30 in the morning. I'm like, man, I see those little tomatoes, and I don't even get the tomatoes. I only want them from you. And then I open up your website, and I see the little tomatoes. I'm like, I got to get over there and get some little tomatoes with because I don't know. It's just something you guys do that's
sweet
perfect.
Tomatoes, sweet corn, and crab. There's no better combination.
Don't forget the beer. Put the beer in there. They got to put the beer. Don't forget.
You have to have the beer.
Damye Hahn is here.
Right?
She is over at Faidleys, and they're doing it. FaidleysCrabCakes.com. They will ship them to you. You can stop down anywhere you are. You can enjoy this.
We have curbside pickup now, so you can just pull your car up, and we can bring it out to you. So we will do all of it.
That's what I did last time. I curbsided last month when I came by. And it's a little hot out and whatnot. Stop and I'm going to grab and go. I can't hug you, but I can fist bump you from 6 feet away. But give me a little, like, a primer on Catonsville, because people are asking me, and I know you've been working hard. I've been over at State Fair and El Guapo across the street, all of our sponsors coming together. As a business owner and as someone that has remodeled places, it never happens as fast as you want it to, right? And certainly the world is not happening as fast as we want it to. But I know you guys are on your way, and you've been doing this for 150 years. You'll get to Catonsville at some point.
Yes, that building is very old. It's from 1926. So we've got a 100-year-old building that needs major renovation. So we have been working hard behind the scenes trying to make this into something that's going to be sensational. It's going to take time. I mean, all the walls need to be shored up. The roof needs to be redone. It doesn't have plumbing. So, I mean, we are starting from scratch. So there's a lot of topography work that has to be done. Parking put in, and it's major.
When you say to me it doesn't have plumbing, I'm like, oh, you're a restaurant. Yeah, they better have that. I mean, that kind of sums up how old the building is, right?
Right. The plumbing that comes in, of course, the whole thing, it's a large building, so it's all going to have a sprinkler system. So we're going to have to bring in more hookups from the city water, sewer, and everything else. So it's almost just as much, if not more, than building a new building. So it's going to take time, and we are finding some incredible pieces of history in that building that are fascinating. So I'm actually in contact with the Museum of Industry. They're going to be helping us, put some of this stuff back out for the public to see. And these things were hidden behind walls, and it's fascinating. So it's very exciting. It's going to take us some time, but we'll get there. Everybody's got to be patient. But we're working every day on it. Believe me, we're working every day on it.
Well, if you want to order anything from our friends down at Faidleys, you can call 410-727-4898. You can find them at FaidleysCrabCakes.com. Great people, great storytellers with a great story to tell. And I just want to tell the story about your hands in the video before I let you go, because like the last time we got together was all serious and crab cakes. It was long form, and your partner over in the Eastern Shore in Cambridge, and we're telling old Bill Burton stories and whatnot. But and I didn't even get into this, and I didn't even have a chance to tell you about it. But if you just go to Facebook and you put Nestor Crab video in, and I've done sports radio here for 29 years. It'll be on December 12th. It'll be 29 years. And I've never seen anything crazier than the crab video here that now has 52,000 shares on it. And those are Damye Hahn's hands in the video. You do know that when people say to me, I eat crabs the way you showed me how to eat them, which is what they say to me, Damye, I don't eat crabs that way. I've only eaten one other crab later on the way you showed me how to do it. And I've had crabs maybe 2 times this summer. And my wife doesn't eat crabs, so, like, it's weird. Chris Pika lives downtown now and has some outdoor space, so we put some on a table out there about 8 weeks ago. But I don't eat them that way. Have you always eaten crabs that way? I mean, were you taught as a little girl to do it that way?
That's the way my grandfather Faidley, John Faidley, taught me how to eat them when I was a child. So I've eaten them that way my whole life.
Because I don't think you told that story in the video. Like, in the video, you're showing me the crab thing, but there's no history other than Don sassing me, and Matt Gallagher telling me now I can pick them for my wife, but and you directing me in it. But the technique, I made fun of it as like, I'm from Dundalk, nobody knows. But Damye, I'm going to promise you, the reason there's 3 million views on that video isn't because my technique was amazing or my diction or what I was wearing or my good-looking face or your pretty hands. It's because, like, nobody's seen it done that way. I mean, I'm being honest with, like, Moeller's like, I've been doing it this way forever, and you're telling me you've been doing this way your whole life. I'm telling you, there's a whole bunch of people I know in my life that have eaten millions of crabs, literally, and have never seen it done that way, which is the lollipop butterfly technique. I don't even know the grandpop the great grandfather Faidley, right? Technique, is that true?
Right.
Wow.
Yep. And he used to have a little like a little paring knife he would use to cut the back shell off. But I, as a child, couldn't handle the knife, so I figured out how to break it off without that knife. But it was, that's the way I've eaten them my entire life, and it was the best way to know exactly where, because you literally just follow the shell that way, and you're not picking it out. But here's the thing about crab picking: everybody has their own method, and they're all good.
Yeah, but yours was special. The reason 3 million people have watched it is that it really is a legitimate technique that isn't, Christopher Columbus, seek, bang, destroy, and I guess when you're 4 years old or 5 years old, like your parents, if you're a Baltimorean, if you had good parents like I did, right? They'd let me start to pick my own crabs when I was 5, 6, 7, and they would go back and, they didn't want me wasting it, and they implored upon me the importance of not wasting it, right? So, therefore, I learned to and, I've been accused of being too harsh with my chicken wings because, I picked, I know how to pick a crab in the way that I know how to pick a crab. I don't leave meat behind, but I certainly don't have this sort of maestro Rembrandt technique that you've come up with that, that everybody is clicked on the video. I mean, 3 million people are watching because they've never seen it. I'm convinced of that.
Right, Grandfather Faidley's method, and you know what? It's interesting because I'll sit here and pick crabs with other people, and I literally only have shell left. There is not a piece of meat left in my pile, and I made sure of that. And of course, my grandparents, lived through the Depression. You didn't leave a piece. That's what people made their crab cakes out of, is whatever was left over from picking crabs. Back then. So the crab cakes, crab dishes, they would make sure that they had whatever was left over and make their soup or their crab cakes or whatever.
Did you
else
just say soup? Do you know I'm in the mood for soup even though it's 100 degrees? What kind of soup you got today? Because, I'm just being honest, and I've thrown myself on your mercy many, many times. I've been in your place 1,000 times. The only thing I ever get, and I said this when you made me the fish last year. You made me some fresh fish and brought it over, and we talked about, what makes Baltimore fish special, and we did a whole segment on that. You can go find that at Baltimore Positive. But I get a crab cake. I get French fries, and I get coleslaw. And it's the way my aunt got them, my uncle, my father, my mother. It's with crackers. I don't eat mustard, but certain people do. It's the way they served them at the ballpark when I was a kid, right? That's the way I get them. I get French fries, I get coleslaw, and I get a crab cake. And I, never had your mac and cheese till last year. It's some of the best mac and cheese I've ever had in my life. So I can honestly say I haven't had all of your soups. So, now that you said soup, I haven't had proper soup also. What kind of soups you got today? I want to get some soup.
We sell mostly the Maryland crab soup, and our Maryland crab soup's delicious. We use the whole body shells and cook the shells down and make this stock out of the crab shells. It's delicious. So we go through a ton of Maryland crab soup. We actually ship a lot of Maryland crab soup. Cream of crab, lobster bisque, clam chowder, and I think seafood gumbo are the ones that we have on the menu today.
Well, I want to sample those. I was in the mood for some gumbo the other day, and I didn't even think of you for gumbo. Now I will. See, I live and I learn and I ask questions. I mean, you've been so awesome to us as a sponsor, as a friend, and then you taught me how to pick the crab. So, I don't know what's going to be next summer when we get through all of this. At some point, we'll shuck some oysters together. You could show me your oyster Rockefeller technique, maybe with some. I was hankering some oysters when I was in the Outer Banks, and I was underwhelmed. I thought I would get some incredible oysters Rockefeller. But what I want to do is have an oyster Bobby Flay-off with you where we do a dozen oysters and dress them all differently because everybody dresses an oyster differently.
That sounds great.
So with some ham, with some different cheeses, with some spinach, with some lemon, right? What else could you put on it? What else do people put on oysters when they stuff them in there?
Oh, I make a beurre blanc and some of the prosciutto.
All right.
They're
You're giving
phenomenal.
me ideas now. I want to experiment, so I'm going to put the cook in the kitchen. Me, you, and your mom. You can teach me some cooking techniques. But we got to be able to get within 6 feet of each other soon, okay? I promise we're going to do that. We'll get back to Faidleys, doing what we do at Baltimore Positive, and I promise you guys will get open in Catonsville soon. Give everybody the big plug. Tell them how to find you and where you are and that you're open, and they can sit down and hang out and have a crab cake with you guys down at Lexington Market. Damye, I think
Faidley's-
I'm losing you a little bit. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Try it again.
I'm sorry. Yep, it's FaidleysCrabCakes.com.
That's it. Okay. They're good enough. Go back, make me some crab cakes. I'll come and visit. I'll get some mac and cheese, and I'm going to sample all of your soups and chowders as well. We miss you guys.
You too.
We'll see you
Thanks,
soon.
Nestor.
Damye Hahn joining us here from Faidleys and FaidleysCrabCakes.com. Oysters and shrimp and fish and crabs. Oh, my. Great recipes on the website. Eva Devine's baked rockfish with fresh tomatoes, the ones I'm talking about, the little ones. Basil, garlic, and wine. Look at that menu right now. Faidley's oyster stew. I didn't even know the recipes are up here. Fresh ground black pepper, basil, cloves, garlic cloves, red wine, Maryland Cabernet, and 4 scallions. 4 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese, freshly grated to top it off. I'm in. Count me in. FaidleysCrabCakes.com, the way to find them, 410-727-4898. And you could curbside it as well. I'll be doing that. I'll be putting some pictures up on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Snapchat and Instagram and anywhere you are. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, calm, local, with Faidley's Crab Cakes. That means we're Baltimore positive.